And the same thing happened in Brussels 2 years later, when I ambushed President Mugabe in the lobby of the Hilton Hotel, where he was having a meeting with the European Union Commissioner. I disguised myself, posed as a tourist in the lobby, looking through the various boutiques, and positioned myself by the revolving door, which I knew he'd have to come through the lobby and exit via the revolving door. I positioned myself to look into the plate glass window because I was afraid that if I was visible and seen by Mugabe or his bodyguards, they might recognize me from previous altercations. So I had a good view back into the lobby in the reflection of the plate glass window. And as his entourage arrived, I stumbled out right into the middle of it, pretending to be a hapless tourist. And when I got within about 3 feet of him, I said, "President Mugabe, you're under arrest on charges of torture." And before I could say anything more, I was set upon by his bodyguards and bashed quite badly. They took me into a corner and pummeled me onto the ground. But then what happened was something out of an Ealing comedy. His bodyguards, the other bodyguards, rushed to get him out of the lobby, through the revolving door, out to his limousine. They all piled into the revolving door with him and tried to push it forward to make it go faster, but it got stuck. So President Mugabe was stuck in the revolving door with about 6 of his bodyguards. So they were banging on the glass, telling the bodyguards who were beating me up to come and release the door. So the bodyguards left to try and release the revolving door. Meanwhile, I scarpered out the fire exit and ended up on the pavement outside, on the other side of the plate glass window. Then I was seized by President Mugabe's... I was seized by the Belgian Secret Service, in fact, at first, who slammed me up against the window. And then I was set upon by Mugabe's bodyguards. While they were trying to attack me, or they were attacking me, camera crews came up to them and asked them, "Who are you? By what authority are you beating this man?" And while they were distracted speaking to the TV crews, I scampered between their legs and ran out into the driveway just as President Mugabe's limousine was leaving, and ran right in front of it, forcing it to halt. This time, his bodyguards came and I was beaten unconscious, albeit only briefly. And then when I woke up, he was well and truly gone. Now, I knew in all those instances that I and my outraged colleagues were taking a risk. When we ambushed his limousine, we didn't know it would stop. Of course, I never wanted to be beaten by his bodyguards. But boy, what an effective propaganda it was against his regime. If President Mugabe is prepared to have a peaceful protester beaten up in the Hilton Hotel lobby and pavement, in the heart of a European capital city, in broad daylight, in front of the world's media, just imagine what he's doing to his own people back in Zimbabwe when no one is watching. Of course, the consequences were that I've ended up with some brain and eye damage. And of course, I would never, ever, ever have wanted that. I took a risk, that's sure, but not nearly a greater risk as the people inside Zimbabwe, many of whom have been arrested and jailed, sometimes tortured, sometimes raped by Mugabe's thugs, sometimes had their homes destroyed, sometimes actually killed. So I put my risk-taking in perspective. By comparison to the people inside Zimbabwe, the tens of thousands of people inside Zimbabwe who've taken for more than 2 decades incredible personal risks, what I've done is really not that much at all. I'm inspired by them. I'm inspired by their courage, by their sacrifice, by their willingness to take risks in order to defend human rights in Zimbabwe.